Welcome back, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Next, let us listen to Dr. Thien of University Science Malaysia and the head committee of the Symposium on Women in Higher Education. So please welcome Dr. Thien.
Good morning, selamat pagi kepada semua, ladies and gentlemen. Malaysian Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Women, Family and Community Developments, and University Science Malaysia, with the Secretariat from IPPT and USM, have collaboratively conducted a Women's Symposium in Higher Education last month, 13th July. Allow me to share or introduce you this Women's Symposium in Higher Education in 3 domains: introduction, programs, and highlights. This symposium has provided a unique venue for women from higher education and other relevant stakeholders to discuss and share perspective, ideas and innovations on current issue related to the disruptive era, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the higher education ecosystem. This symposium has 4 specific objectives. First, to serve as a platform for women to discuss and share views, new ideas on current issue related to disruptive era, sustainability, leadership, and higher education. To provide an opportunity for participants to network and encourage discussion on women-related issues such as leadership, employability, equality, and higher education. To foster multi-perspective discussion among women in higher education on matters related to the theme. And lastly, to enhance collaboration between universities, ministries, and other stakeholders in empowering women to adapt to the current era of convergence. We are happy that this symposium has attracted 150 participants. They are academics, administrative staff, postgraduate students, government delegates, industrial players, and NGO representatives. The symposium began with a sharing section entitled Women in Higher Education, presented by Professor Dr. Norazharuddin Azman. Next is the first panel discussion section with the theme entitled Women in Academic and Research. The speakers included Professor Dr. Asma Ismail, Dr. Sharin Tiagaraja, and Dr. Chai Lei Ching. Following this is a group discussion. It's a group discussion with the invited participants. From the discussion, there are 5 emerged themes here, namely leadership, health, community and industry engagement, mobility and international collaboration, and literacy and digital citizenship. For the afternoon section, the second panel discussion related to students in higher education. The speakers included Professor Dr. Halima, Dr. Isan Ismail, and Professor Dr. Norazharuddin. So what has been discussed in this panel discussion will continue in the next sections of group discussion. There are 5 emerged themes based on the input from the group discussion: employability and entrepreneurship, digitalization and future of work, social issues, sexual and reproductive health, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or what we used to call as STEM. Allow me to take this opportunity to share with you challenges or gaps in these two main key issues discussed in this Women's Symposium. First, women in academic and research. Second, students in higher educations based on the emerged sub-dimensions. For the key issue of women in academic and research, these are the challenges that has been raised out by the participants in both panel discussion and also group discussion. For the first sub-dimension, leadership, there is a lack of women icons and mentors at higher education level, less participative decision-making at authority level, although we understand that the number of women involvement is getting larger in higher education, but we still have these kind of challenges. Second sub-dimension, literacy and digital citizenship, a lack of knowledge in technology, where women are found easily give up and always find the easiest way to solve problems. The digital economy in rural areas is still underdeveloped, and internet accessibility problems are still remained rampant. For the third sub-dimension, health, women's always having the challenge to handle busy tasks at work and family. For the single mother with children with disabilities, there's a lack from the support where they deserve. Next, for the fourth sub-dimension under the key issue of women in academic research, community and industrial engagement, a lack of women public figures to be recognized by the community. We have, but the numbers is still small. The women industrial sector remain at small scale level. Next sub-dimension is mobility and international collaboration. Family used to be the main concern of women leaders to move. At the international level, the support given to the women is not fully studied. For the next key issue, students in higher education, there are 5 sub-dimensions emerged from the panel and also the group discussion. The first sub-dimension is social issue. So there is still a lack of information on P40 women. Asian culture and the way women are raised influence their thinking style. Conservative and feeling unwilling to share family problems and issues. They choose not to expose their problems to others. And this is strongly rooted in Asian culture and also their local indigenous culture. So there are stigmas and stereotypes for married women. Next, sexual and reproductive health. There is always a tendency to find easiest ways to live well. That's why it's not surprising knowing the issue such as sugar baby, sugar book, and so on. And then cases of sexual harassment among children and cases of abuse of women have increased. Another one is employability and entrepreneurship. Awareness of women's diverse abilities is lacking. They have the talent, they have the ability, but they have a minimal level of awareness how to make use of their ability to get a better life in society. So there is no direction to develop their skills. They have, but they don't have the direction to develop. So the fourth sub-dimension under the key issue of students in higher education is digitalization and future of work. Women are still less skilled in using the digital platform in cyberspace. And again, Asian culture strongly influence their thinking. There are stigma and stereotypes for married women. And the last sub-dimension is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So the input informed us that STEM-based industry prefer men for employment for certain categories. And also interest in STEM among women is declining. So the highlights, what next? Based on this symposium on women in higher education. Well, it serves as a research-based development program that offers feedback from various perspectives, coaching and practical strategies aimed at enhancing women in higher education with knowledge, tools, and supportive learning environment to help them navigate this time of convergence. And it is hoped that input from the Women's Symposium will be used to propose recommendations related to women and higher education in enhancing and supporting the National Women Policy, the Women Development Action Plan, Malaysia's National Policy on Industry 4.0, and also Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. With this, I end my presentation and sharing. Thanks for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thien Li Mi, for the presentation. We shall take a 5-minute break for now. As usual, we'd like to remind you CD points are also awarded. The link will be given in the chat box. And then we'll see each other again in 5 minutes time, which is 12:03, 12:02 Malaysian time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Moving on, I would like to call upon Associate Professor Dr. Norazharuddin Shah Abdullah of University Science Malaysia and the head of committee for the Youth Symposium to share some insights from the Youth Symposium, Reenvisioning the Future of Work in Disruptive and Unprecedented Times. Please welcome Associate Professor Dr. Norazharuddin Shah Abdullah. Dr. Shah, you may proceed with the presentation. Thank you. Seems that Dr. Shah, Dr. Norazharuddin is having some technical issues, right? I'm sure he'll join us real soon.
It's okay.
Dr. Norazharuddin, the floor is yours.
And I am here to present a summative session for the Youth Symposium. Screen. Extremely lucky to be a part of the team that actually organized this youth symposium with the content of my presentation would be split into three and share views in terms of new ideas, and also understand the current trends, especially the current times. Education and the future of work. There are about 80 participants that was involved, and mainly they are students from Malaysian higher education. session. The first session starts with a panel discussion, which actually covers the transition from school to tertiary education. Associate Professor Dr. Gashina Ayu. And the session, it was a one-hour session that was actually moderated by Mr. Saiful Reza. Mr. Sinan Ismail and also Professor Dr. Haslinda Abdullah, and was moderated by Ms. Nabila Ridwan Lau.
Excuse me, Dr.
As you can
Din.
see, so yeah, ladies and gentlemen,
Sorry, Dr. Din.
so there are two parts of the.
You're going on and off the camera, Doctor. So may we suggest that you turn off your camera, Dr. Din?
Hello, guys, can you hear me now?
Yes, Dr. Din, we can hear you clearly.
All right, thank you. Right, so I would like to continue. So as you can see, that the two panel sessions that covers the transition from school to tertiary education and the tertiary education to work. So at that there is a continuity between session 1 and session 2, and right in the after each of the panel discussion, there will be a focus group discussion that will discuss pertinent points on issues related to the transition from school to tertiary education and also tertiary education to work. Now, prior to that, we understood that there are points, key issues to be highlighted. So with regards to happenings that is going on with our country, and also issues that has been expressed continuously, transition from school to tertiary education covers 5 points, which are lost boys, B40, which is combine them both, lost boys and B40, meritocracy, career readiness and counseling, also self-discipline, morality, and mental health. While tertiary education to work covers 5 points that includes employability and workability, global citizenship, entrepreneurship and gig economy, alumni, and also leadership and volunteerism. So today, I would like to share with you the pertinent points that we have managed to get hold during the panel discussion and also the group discussion. So I would like to point out two major points for each of the section. So this slide actually shows the 3 parts, the Lost Boys and the B40 group, the meritocracy and career readiness and counseling, and also self-discipline, morality, and mental health that covers the transition from school to tertiary education. So this is only school to tertiary education. So for the case of Lost Boys, there are 2 pertinent points that was discussed and also that was pointed out by panelists. That is, number 1, intervention, continuity, and closing the loop. And number 2 is basically statistics and real numbers that make sense. Now, is it as if we focus on the intervention, continuity, and closing the loop, the biggest question is it a cycle? Now, it is undeniable that early identification, which is key in this case, is quite straightforward for the B40s, but it is a tad more tricky to identify high-risk lost boys. I mean, lost boys will not be lost boys until they are lost boys. So the idea here is to identify those who have shown or exhibited high risk to be lost boys in the future. And this is not quite straightforward as like the B40s. But a number of comments associated within the discussion and also within the panels, there is no actual continuity in terms of what to do, although there are known intervention plans. So the key word here is perhaps a cycle or a continuous support. And the continuity is critical, especially in providing counseling, coaching, and motivation, and other psychological and emotional support. And clarity and purpose is also very important. Um, Quite a number of panel members discussed and argued, saying that for intervention, continuity, and closing the loop for the Lost Boys and B40 group, most of the programs are pretty one-off and may not be as impactful as they are. And early management, for example, transition from academics to skills-based. Many of the Lost Boys and B40 group may not be able to adapt with the academic challenges. Thus, perhaps there should be a smoother transition from academics to skills-based, with certification and employability enhancement qualities should be offered to them. And one of the bigger questions is, if education cannot be used as an opportunity for the children of the B40 families to break poverty and be free of the B40 rat race, then education has fallen far from its mark. And Malaysia still has the opportunity to correct the situation at the current moment. And it is important for us to spread the knowledge and the skills in order for the future, to be able to be spread, for the wealth to be able to spread in the future. Right. So the second bit that concerns the Lost Boys and the B40 is basically the statistics, real numbers that make sense. And it is not just some statistics that has been reported, whether those numbers are important or not. So in this case, numbers are of extremely importance, and it is shown that these numbers, these basic numbers, are very, very difficult to be obtained. And while these numbers are of extreme importance, and they may show whether such intervention are impactful or less, apparently they are little group or little people that is keeping score. There are so limited case studies on Lost Boys, and even the transition of B40 students, and we would wish that would be proper case studies, or there is an offer to actually pick up sections to be put together to actually show and paint a proper picture of what B40 intervention and Lost Boys intervention are like. So this is currently something which is absolutely lost, and we need to understand whether current intervention is successful or not, impactful or not, and perhaps there should be a pilot program that would try out interventions to pools of high-risk candidates of would-be Lost Boys or the B40 group. So none of these are actually available, right? Moving on to the second part, which is basically meritocracy, career readiness, and counseling. Right. The first and foremost is about career appreciation and understanding. And mine, this is the transition from school to tertiary education. Yeah. So the first step is basically getting the right course for you to pursue the right career. So career appreciation and understanding is extremely important. Many quite a number of times where you've got career enthusiasts feel that the effort on career appreciation and understanding, especially in the secondary school levels, can be improved, can be considerably improved. So firstly, while the traditional employment's appreciation and understanding is still limited, so the traditional employments, the current engineers, doctors, dentists, blah, 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 and so on, even at that level, the appreciation and understanding is still limited at the secondary level. We are talking about a bigger gap, which is actually getting bigger day by day, which is basically the 21st century careers. And there is also already an argument saying that the 22nd century careers have not even arrived, and we don't know how is it going to be like. Although we don't have the crystal ball for the future, however, it is important for us to close the gap by giving input to the current students, to the secondary students, as early as possible on the current 21st century careers which are available. Secondly, turning hobbies into careers and skills into profits. And these are basically non-existent discussions. We can see quite a number of people that turn their hobbies into good careers and somehow translate their skills into profits. And this comes into the third part, where entrepreneurial endeavors in the secondary school are fairly still limited. So to change hobbies and gaps into careers that would actually give you profit would entitle you to some entrepreneurial understanding, and this is also fairly limited at the secondary level. And finally, strength, weakness, and such profiling is nearly not there. The question is, should there be a practical and on-site experience to reduce in-informed course selection and diminish those kinds of mismatch of courses at university level? Or is it time for us to actually push for experiential learning for secondary students to experience themselves what their chosen careers are, for them to actually understand and differentiate interest and skills? And should there be a proper profiling for each student to help career selection as a roadmap, a proper roadmap in terms of streaming interest, talent, skills, and nurturing what that is needed for one to actually pursue such career and ask for one particular course at the university level. Right. Secondly, it's a question between academic merit, skills, soft skills, and traits. I think the payout currently is all about academic achievement, and even the panel members and the group discussion was talking about academic achievement being the key entrance point, and all shall flock to that particular one buy-in. So there is some kind of singularity in terms of secondary education quality, where all you need is just academic paper qualification, and it's so unclear in terms of meritocracy, in terms of what kind of achievements that you have in sports and other skills. So the question is, should skills and soft skills and specific traits be currencies for university entrance? Should also assessment of examinations, academic assessments should be year out rather than based on one major examination? Should the 21st century skills be incorporated much more here? And should more should life relevant subjects be introduced? More life relevant subjects in the bigger questions. Are we SDG friendly? And what is our sustainable development goal for our secondary education? Are we ready to move on, or are we sitting down at the same seat and we are happy about it? And last but not least, to cover the transition from school to tertiary education, is self-discipline, morality, and mental health. We're talking about awareness and experience. It's readiness for secondary students to be in tertiary education, and that transition is actually quite huge, and it is something that is poorly discussed. It is not something that is always discussed. It is sad due to the fact that there is a huge difference between secondary and tertiary education in terms of intensity, content, depth, and needs, among others. And there is no bridging between this secondary and tertiary education. And this needs to be made aware as early as possible, as continuous as possible. And unfortunately, the trend of poor mental health in tertiary institutions also needs to be checked as well. You've got some institutions abroad have proper assessments, but we don't actually have that. So again, the experiential learning is perhaps key to identify classroom skills needed. Surviving the transition is also key, and proper planning and awareness may make it work. And this is important in terms of adaptability and also discipline. And the second part for the transition of school to tertiary education is basically assessments, tools, and support group. Do we need assessments and skills in managing self-discipline, morality, and mental health? And this is more emphasis on the thinking tools to be used, more emphasis on the balance that needs to be promoted in terms of self-discipline, and also mental health. And it is something that is very rarely discussed. And is it time for us to actually explore tools such as solution focused coaching, neuro-linguistic programming, or trades at the secondary level to help to provide tools for students to actually help them maintain their own self-discipline, morality, and also mental health. And the thing is, we've got wonderfully written national treasure in documents such as National Education Philosophy and the National Principles, which is the Rukun Negara. But how can we somehow put the heart of the students at secondary level uh, on such documents and provide more emphasis into such documents? Right. So that's more or less the issues that was covered from transition to school, from school to tertiary education. We move on now to tertiary education to work. Right. So there are three groups of major issues that we have discussed from tertiary education to work. And the first group of issues actually concerns employability and workability, volunteerism, leadership, and also global citizenship. The second part is basically with regards to alumni and being an alumni. And last but not least is about entrepreneurship and also gig economy. Um, on the employability and workability, volunteerism, leadership, and also global citizenship, it is about a question of positioning and also putting forward skills, which is practical and certification. And many would say that employability is not simply a number that shows a percentage of graduates who are employed. Um, Basically, it's percentage employed. But employability is basically the additional skills that is provided or learned by would-be employees to increase the chances to be employed. So this is a bit more complicated rather than anything else. And this is where the positioning cannot be subject limited and one-off programs. Um, and many programs are basically put right at the end of the university career time. And this is the sad part. The saddest part is many employability related programs are centered towards the final years. Uh, the fact is the career planning actually starts from as early as year one, as early as secondary level education. And this is where we're feeding the wrong information. We say, yeah, this last 6 months would be the best time for you to actually self project things and so on. This is where the positioning goes wrong. And I personally think that there should be a strong, carefully thought roadmap supplying 21st century skills, and it is supposed to be an ongoing thing from first year till the final year. So that means it is a continuous thing where students actually grow and sort of like develop themselves to become someone more employable, right? So it's a continuous thing. And the CGPA centric mechanisms needs to be reduced. And the question now, is there enough aid to help those with interest mismatch at university level? I mean, those who are stuck in the university doing a course that they are not interested in, mismatch, but would there be any possibility for them to be aided? Plus those with lower employability probabilities, mismatched traits, lower CGPA, are the actual programs that we have now are benefiting those that are in need of such benefits? Or are we helping those who basically do not need to be helped? And this is then an opportunity for retraining after undergraduates. And this is where it is, where there should be a synergy between the industry and also the university, where training should be done together rather than all the training is taken care of by the university. The second part is basically the um, uh, check and balance on we're basically the mentality dilemma, which is all is good at home, And this is about employability and global citizenship, where you have a group of leaders that could go out and actually show the fact that um, graduates, the local graduates are as good as graduates and can serve everywhere. We, I mean, we are proud. History shows that we are proud mariners, sailing and going around the world. And we have changed from that to hesitant individuals happily staying at home. Is it a mental block, or are we designed? Are we not designed to compete now? Or are we not being challenged enough? Or is it the local adages, like hujan emas negeri orang, hujan batu negeri sendiri, lebih baik negeri sendiri, is starting to give effect. Now, young Malaysians now feel free to sort of like stay and look for employability home, rather than pushing for employability abroad. And to that extent, that within the social media, in the last week, there was this huge promotion of a young Malaysian employed by Tesla, and it became such a huge thing, because apparently there's no Malaysians whatsoever has actually broken into Tesla before. So this is where it is, that mentality, that dilemma. Well, it's congratulations. I would like to congratulate the young Malaysian, but where are the rest? Have we not enough promotion, or do we have not enough role model to identify, to show interest, to spur that interest among the young ones, saying that, yeah, there are opportunities abroad. There are great opportunities for you to be a global citizen, and you can still contribute to the nation's as well building. For example, we've got top level athletes, and coaches doing well abroad. I mean, I'm just going to take one simple example. For example, Nicole and David was in Amsterdam for so long, but plenty of emphasis was on her success in sports, rather than her success in blending in to become a global citizen, still contributing to the country's well-being, for example. And Azizul Hasni, for example, the silver, the Olympic silver medal winner, and he was in he's now in Brisbane, the whole family. So yeah, I mean, there are opportunities for you to pursue careers, employability, being a global citizen. So, but perhaps this has not been given enough focus in terms of opportunities. Let's move on to alumni, strategic appointments, and also mentorship. I think this is where relationship between the university and the alumni is key, where the synergy between the two institutions are key. May start deeper with academic program evaluation, in industrial panels. Alumni working in industry can come in and actually provide positive input. Out of the classroom initiatives for graduates coming from alumni, training and practicum provider, and finally employer. More student-centered, smart partnership is needed. And the question is, have both parties actually sat down and harnessed enough out of each other? It's always a give and take relationship, and and this needs to be harmonized, and it needs to be maximized as well. And second bit is, can the alumni be a source of check and balance and a source of any gain? An alumni can be vocal in expressing ideas and improve the institution, and the institution should accommodate such check and balance relationship. And this is a sacred relationship that should be taken care of. And this is with the current climate of funding cuts, any financial gain or in kinds from alumni sources are much welcome. And it is specifically and clearly organized to attain specific objectives, and it should be tailored in such a way that it's a win-win situation between the alumni and also the university. And I would move on to the final point, which is basically entrepreneurship and gig economy. I think it's business awareness, communications, and business financial management and aspirations is something extremely important. What we're doing at the university is basically just the tip of the iceberg, where 21st century is full of practical needs. You need more practical opportunities for students to be engrossed in proper entrepreneurship and gig economy activities, and they should be more involved in the business awareness and planning part, the business communications part, and also the financial management, and also the business aspirations. And any kind of certifications coming together with the university from the industry is also of such importance. But again, it is all about the experiential learning. And last but not least, in university opportunity and role modeling, I think gig and entrepreneurial ecosystem in the university should thrive to create trial and experiential opportunities for graduate to experience it their own self. There should be role modeling, not just done with successful alumni, but also to promote peers that have gone through the program. And the university has to be adaptful in terms of the comments that comes in. Most of the time, many programs are being done, but unfortunately the programs stay the same for the next 10 to 15 years. So the dynamics of changes in terms of adapting to ideas or experience gone through by those who actually took part in the program needs to be improved. Finally, I think what's next? The identification of issues are done at this current moment. So this is basically preliminary data acquisition, and we need quite a bit more of input. But however, I think we have good value for a report to be shared to relevant authorities. Of course, we would rather more input, but once the report is done, there will be a meeting where relevant parties and other parties with interest to actually sit down and possibly put in ideas to pursue action-based effort that can be done together. So this is basically the execution of plans, and it needs to be a roadmap that needs to come around, and a group closed loop circle so that it can be actually continuously be adapted and dynamic enough for future changes. So I think that's what's looking forward. So I think I've taken quite a bit of your time. That's 23 minutes. So thank you very much. I think I'll stop here. It has been a pleasure. My debt goes to IPPTN and also the team that was heart and soul together making this work. So these are basically baby steps. So hopefully we will actually move forward into formulating the programs, get the right people to sit down at the right time, and make sure that there will be some kind of impact in terms of pushing the circle of programs into a roadmap which is impactful. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Norazharuddin Shah Abdullah. The sharing just now cues the end of our morning agenda for today. CPD points will be awarded for this session as well. The links will be given in the chat box.